It's the year of snap jitsu.
Yeah, broken bones is happening more frequently than usual.
What's up, Barn Hill family? Welcome back to the channel.
Hey, yo.
So, Nick, it's not often in a fight that somebody gets their arm broken in a submission and then loses by TKO.
Yeah, that was wild.
I mean, it's talk about Jamahal Hill and the toughness he demonstrated.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually a break. It didn't end up snapping. And I guess Dana White said it was dislocated, and the doctors and the medical staff were able to snap it back into place. But either way, I mean, Paul Craig, he's now 15 wins, 13 by stoppage, 12 of those by submission. The guy's legit. I mean, there was a lot of heat between these two, and it was good to see the sportsmanship afterwards. Jamahal Hill was a real prospect, contender series guy, undefeated. That was a very exciting fight and a well-deserved 50 grand for Mr. Craig.
Yeah, and you know, those two guys, they really did sell this fight well, and the animosity felt real. The pre-fight stuff, it felt like there was some true tension building between them, and it made for a big fight feel. You know, Paul Craig going into this and Jamahal Hill going into this weren't guys that really popped out onto the as far as like, oh, must-see TV, but now I'm for sure checking out everything Paul Craig does. I'm really into the style. You know, he might be one of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners on the entire UFC roster right now. And, you know, as of right now, it's really hard to find guys who are dominant from the bottom in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You know, MMA is just at that point where people are getting smart with the anti-jiu-jitsu, with the top pressure, with getting back up on your feet if that's where you prefer the fight. If you fight Paul Craig, you better get your hands out of there quickly. And, you know, he's smart to really go for those pulling guard type of situations really early before he starts to sweat and his opponent starts to sweat. And he seems like he has some grip strength from hell, and he's got overhooks and underhooks. And as soon as I saw him get a hold of Jamahal Hill's arm that first time and kind of overhook it and pin it towards his body, I was like, oh God, this guy knows what he's doing. He's legit, and we're about to see potentially some crazy submission attempts. That's exactly what we saw. Jamahal Hill's one of those guys where he had a ton of knockout power. Probably hasn't faced anybody with a very high jiu-jitsu skill set as of yet, and it kind of exposed him. I think he's going to need to go tie up a jiu-jitsu gi and a belt and start just learning the way, because Paul Craig, you run into somebody like that and they watch the Paul Craig fight, then they're just going to expose you for the weakness that they know you have. And there's a lot of jiu-jitsu aces out there, and maybe not as good as Paul Craig, but if they can get you to the ground, then they know that they can ultimately probably get the submission.
Yeah, and Paul Craig did a couple of things that I found really interesting technically last night. You mentioned it already, the overhooking of the hand.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of the reasons that it's really hard to submit people from the bottom in MMA is, one, you have the ability to strike, which totally changes the jiu-jitsu game, and two, you have the gloves to contend with. And then a lot of times the gloves can work to your disadvantage.
Right.
But there are certain positions, because you can't grab your opponent's gloves. Right. But there are certain positions where the gloves can be to your advantage. And I think that overhook with Jamal's hand caught underneath with the glove allowed it to not be able to be mobile, which neutralized the strikes, at least from that hand. So if Jamal's going to strike, you know which hand it's coming from, so you know to cover up and protect it, and you have the other hand free. And then on top of that, you've got a deep grip on an arm, on a limb that's now isolated. And what we know about jiu-jitsu is isolating a limb. That's the name of the game.
Yep.
And so Paul Craig was able to do some really interesting things. And then his hips were phenomenal. Mm-hmm. As soon as he realized that he had that submission locked up, or that the submission attempt was ready to go, he engaged his hips and was able to break the posture of Jamal and put him in that submission. Ultimately, like I said, Jamal's a tough guy. He didn't tap. The fight ended in TKO, but he submitted him nonetheless by dislocating his arm. And you know, even if Jamal had gotten out of that, I think the doctors probably would have stopped it when you have somebody with a gimp arm who can't even lift it up. Yeah. And if the doctors hadn't stopped it, he probably would have gotten knocked out, because he would have been a one-armed fighter at that point. And unless you're Nick Newell, and you've been doing it your whole life, you don't know how to fight with essentially one arm. So
exactly. Yeah, it was really crazy. And you know, some people when they watch that, they might think it's a little brutal. It's kind of crazy to watch somebody, not continue to get beat up as their arm is literally sitting there seemingly broken. But Paul Craig did exactly what he had to do. He said it best, and I've never heard the phrase, but tap, snap, or nap is a really great little catchphrase rhyme that he was saying. And his job is to finish the fight and finish the submission. When you put somebody in an arm bar, you are supposed to the reason behind an arm bar is to break the arm of somebody who's attacking you in the street, right? That's the self-defense. Yep. Only when they tap in the street, you generally don't let go. Jamahal Hill, it looked to me like he kind of tapped at one point, but then he continued to fight and throw punches. And at that point, he should have just realized that he wasn't going to leave with an undefeated record and tapped, live to see another day. I thought the arm was broken. The referee probably should have stepped in when he realized the arm was going all gimp like that. We watch referees stop TKO punches and ground and pound and stuff like that. I feel like when somebody's leg is broken or their ACLs are torn because of a heel hook, like Tony Ferguson.
That's happened a lot lately. Jacare, Tony Ferguson, twice to Tony.
Yeah,
Chris
Weidman's leg was broken.
Yeah.
It feels
had a lot of breaks lately.
It feels like 2021 has kind of been the year where vicious finishes, or
it's the year of snap jitsu.
Yeah, broken bones is happening more frequently than usual. So Paul Craig added Jamahal Hill to that list, and even though it was a dislocated arm, it looked pretty bad. You could see the golf ball, tennis ball size thing in the dislocated elbow. So
make no mistake, his arm was put back in place, but Jamahal Hill is in tremendous pain today.
Oh my God, I bet he's in a world of trouble. And Paul Craig deserves a big fight after this. That was pretty scary. I think that only behind the Irish accent of Conor McGregor, he has probably the coolest accent in the UFC. He sounds so gangster.
Yeah, him and JoJo. That Scottish accent is so cool.
It's tough. It sounds tough. And it's cool that he's such like a high-level jiu-jitsu guy. He's like an international man, really good at Brazilian jiu-jitsu, from Scotland, will come to Arizona and kick your ass. So I like Paul Craig. I'm a fan. I'd like to see him get another big fight, and people better watch out and protect those limbs at all costs when they get in the octagon with him.
Yeah, he's demonstrating that jiu-jitsu is alive and well in MMA still, but there has to be some adjustments made.
Yeah.
You have to be aware of the strikes. If you're going to pull guard, you better, be real tight on your game, break the posture immediately. And Paul Craig was able to do all of the above. And it's kind of, we talk about all the time, and it's one of the reasons why we started putting the flags in our thumbnails is because we were talking about, we said mixed martial arts before it was Brazil, the United States, Russia, and that was kind of it. But now there's so many countries from every continent that represent. And Scotland, who would have thought that Scotland would have a jiu-jitsu ace? Yeah. Scotland is, Paul Craig's probably one of the few black belts in Scotland.
Right.
And it's so cool to see. And you're seeing, when you see somebody come out of Dagestan, Russia, you think, oh, that guy must be a wrestler. Uh-huh. Oh, wait, no, he's a karate guy? Yeah. Are you serious? Oh, this guy's out of Brazil. He's a boxer? How cool. You're starting to not just the stereotype of Brazilian jiu-jitsu, Russian wrestling, United Kingdom boxing and American wrestling. You're seeing people adopt different styles in different places, and Paul Craig, being a jiu-jitsu ace from Scotland, is a perfect example of that. And I think it's just so cool as we see this sport evolve, and that's really was kind of the impetus behind using the flags and the thumbnails, because there's so many countries represented now that we can kind of, give everybody a world tour in our thumbnails.
Yeah, and it's really cool because, American football is America's sport. Curling is Canada's sport, and everybody kind of has their, England and New Zealand and Australia, cricket, that's like their sport. MMA is becoming the world's sport. And there's people, because of people like Francis Ngannou and people like Paul Craig and from all these different countries, big and small, they all get represented. And when one of their own can take on, the world, and they can go, reach these high heights in the UFC, it shows a lot, and it really puts the world on the map. And it puts their country on the map, and I really love it. I feel like there's no sport that's more represented worldwide than mixed martial arts. The UFC is doing it right, and I love seeing all the talent from all over the world.
I do too. Well, guys, thanks so much for watching our video. What did you think of that amazing performance by Paul Craig last night? He has certainly proven to be a problem and a major jiu-jitsu ace. Let us know in the comments who you think he should fight next and what should be next for Jamahal Hill once that arm heals up. As always, guys, we appreciate you watching. A like, comment, and subscribe if you've enjoyed the video is much appreciated. And if you listen to audio podcasts, check out the Barnhill Brothers there as well. Have a great day.
Peace.